Hello, hi everyone. How are you? Hi. Where's my- Hello, RM and Sugar are back in LA. They are back here. No one's taking pictures of them. That's a good sign. Okay, let me say hi to everybody. Is my camera too high? Let's see if I can pull this down a little. My dog doesn't want to go. You can say hi after you come back, baby.
Oh, you say hi first.
You say hi after when you come back.
Let's go.
He's gonna go first. Hi, everybody. Okay, let me say hi to everyone first. While my mom is trying to negotiate with DAEBAK. Hi, H. Erickson. You hear me okay, right? You hear me good? H. Erickson, Anne, Amy, Arlene, Shelling, Iris, Cindy, Lucy in the Sky, Kathleen, Angel Star, BTS Paved the Way, Dawn Marie, Purple Owl, Joe. I heard, Joe, that there is flood or something. Is everyone okay? Has there been casualties? My mom told me that there's like flood in Manila, Bulacan, Carol, Multi-Stan, Carla Girl, Rachel, Cindy, Dodger Girl, Norisa, Rhea, Dodger Girl is in Twitch. Angelic, Mamacita, Lisa Parker, Seda, Chrissy, Helena, and Lorena, also on Twitch, Marley, Reese, Rachel. Hello, everybody. How is everybody? Okay. Dallas concert was awesome. I know. So Bang Luna sent me some pictures of the group in the suite. You guys, it looked like you guys had fun. So are you guys gonna go on day two or just that one is done? That's your day. Please like the video. Oh yeah, please like the video. Please like the video, everybody. Poppy is not negotiable. What Poppy wants, Poppy gets. Um, how can you say no to that? I can't say no to that face, unfortunately. Is there a new jeans hearing today? It's gonna be at 4 p.m. and it is what time is it in Korea? It is I think about 11. Yeah, about 11 o'clock in Korea. So yes, doing well watching Jin now. Is he on? Is he on reverse? Why did I not get notification? So he's not on. Do you mean you're watching the concert today? See you in Prudential in 2 days. 2 days? When is the concert? Wait a minute. Where's my flight? you okay, July 30 to 31. Mega, I thought I had my dates wrong. Dallas day two. Okay. All right. Concert stream from a friend. Ah, okay, got it. He is on day two, correct. Stupid Love being song. Hi, Orchid. Okay, people are coming in. Hi, he was on Weverse last night. I know he was on Weverse last night. So, a lot of things, I'm going through a lot of changes just on my personal life. I guess personal and professional life. So, that's also why I haven't been as active on Patreon. But I'm almost, I think, after this week, I'm gonna be a little bit more free. I'm gonna take some rest. Uh, I mean, on the I'm gonna move on from my full time job. I'm not really in a hurry to find a new one. I kind of want to rest for a little bit, and also I feel like it's always like things happen to me in the perfect time. So I'll just let it. I'll just let whatever happens will happen. So, but I will appreciate. I could use some rest, so I'm not really rushing to find a new job or whatever. But also, I want to concentrate on this channel, the publication. In the last several days, I've actually like sort of made some decisions in terms of this business. I do think that by next week I'm going to start doing some business plans because I am planning to get some grants, a grant for the business to get things going. Because I did share with you my plan to do this big project for BTS as well. I don't think I can really do that if um, if I'm sort of my attention is divided. And I was thinking like several months now, I would say, especially in the last 2 months, because there's been so much chaos in the company. I was like, when will I get to a point where I can just do what I want to do, right? And I've mentioned this to you guys. I don't have a lot of money, but I do have enough if I move back to the Philippines. Like if today, like whatever, and I can't find a job or whatever, I can always just go back to the Philippines, and I think I will be able to live off what I save. It's not going to be like a luxurious life, but it is going to be a life. I'll be able to pay my bills and eat and whatever. So I think it took me a while to get to that stage in my life where I'm not scared anymore. So, and I'm thinking like, when will I stop grinding and just start doing what I love doing? So, I think I've gotten to that stage in my life now. So, um, I'm gonna take like maybe a month or two to just let things happen on that side and just concentrate on the channel right now. So I just want to wrap things up really neatly this week for the company, um and then and then concentrate on this. I want to finish the website, get the business plan going. I know that I have some like paper like permits that I need to look after. I want to do all of that. And then after that, then I'll start thinking about what I can, the options that I have in front of me. But I feel so blessed to be in this stage in my life where I can actually think about that. Like that's actually an option for me. So, so yeah, I want to take it slow in the first 2 months, and then just concentrate on this business, and then I'll think about other options after that. The website, thank you. We're still changing it. So the reason I haven't really done, because I want to do a proper launch of the website, meaning I actually want to do some PR. I'll do some outreach to different publications to announce that. um, but there are still some changes that I want to make, and we're making that right now as we speak. We're making that. I hired a website guy that will actually do the things that I want to do for the website. And also, yeah, and also me personally, I want to do some things there myself. Like I want to fix some of the articles, the formatting and stuff like that. I think once I do that, everything else will be easy. And then we'll do a proper launch. I'll do a PR release, and then we'll probably book some interviews and whatever. And just to sort of solidify that the name is there, it's present, and all of those things. So, so yeah, it's a lot of work that I think I've set out for myself in the next 2 months. But I think I can do it, given that I'm not really so pressured to do something else as of the moment. I can't tell you guys enough. I feel so blessed when I woke up one morning when I finally made that decision. When the decision just came to me, and I realized like, oh yeah, I'm not desperate. I'm not like 10 years ago or maybe even 5 years ago. If you tell me that okay, you're gonna lose your job, I would have panicked. I would have panicked, guys. So, but I'm not. I'm not anymore. I'm not panicking. Jealous, purpose. No, I. It took me a while to get here. It took me a long while to get here, and I've mentioned to you guys that I always had two jobs, 2 to 3 jobs, to the point where I lived in a car. That's why I decided to live in a car because I wanted to make sure that my finances were in place. And so I was like, I don't want any kind of credit card debt. And the only way I could see out of it was to give up my rent so that I could put all of my money paying off the debts that I incurred when things weren't going well yet for me. But in the last 5 years now, also that's the reason I owe a lot to the company that I'm parting with because I they taught me a lot. My boss, he's actually kind of more my friend than my boss, because I have a long history with him and his family. So I really am very thankful for the things that I've learned from him because he really taught me about how money works. So I've never had that kind of education, which is really very important for everyone to have. I wish that that's something that we have in high school, maybe even grade school, to learn about how money works. Because coming from an Asian country, all I knew to do was save, which is, and I mean, save cash, which is really suicide if you do that. Unless you're earning like billions and billions of dollars. Just putting your money in a savings account is like suicide. It's really the worst thing that you can do because it devalues because it's inflation. So the worth is 10% less a year from now. So if you put like 100,000, just an example, if you put like 100,000 in the bank, next year that's only worth 90,000. And the other things that you really have to be honest with yourself when it comes to money, otherwise the only casualty is going to be you. So I really learned how to compute real inflation and not just rely on what the government is telling me, because if I do that I'm like dead. Because I'm not earning as much as others. I'm not earning like millions and millions of dollars, and so I really had to be wise in how I was using my money. And if it wasn't for that, how I was investing my money, and if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have known. So I'm really thankful for him. And it also made me, and I've mentioned this so many times before, the reason I'm very apolitical when it comes to my money is because I know that money does not follow any kind of political party. It follows itself. So you have, when you're making financial decisions, you cannot take your political leanings into consideration because it's gonna sink you if that's the only thing that you will believe in. Like even when I'm looking for a company to invest in, the last thing that I will look at is what is the political leaning of that company. I just look at really the numbers. So yeah, maybe I'll do a separate video. I know that I mentioned before that I was going to start sharing like how I invest, how I put my money, and I'm going to do that. So and I finally have the time now because I've let go of a lot of things. So I'll share some. And as I've said, I'm not a millionaire by any means. I can, if I retire, if I stop earning now, I cannot live here. I cannot continue living here. I have to go back to the Philippines. So that gives you an idea on how much I don't have. Right. So, but again, just because I have that option to always just go back to the Philippines, I'm so thankful because I feel like okay, like I'm fine, I'm okay. I'll live. I can take care of my family and stuff. So yeah, so that's what's happening in the last 2 months or so. But I think this up until this Friday, by Friday, I'll be free. So I'm just like wrapping up some things, just making sure everything is good. And then I'll have all the time in the world to do this. I can finally put my attention to the website, get the business plan going, get some funding, get that big project that I have in my mind for BTS, and also my own work. So exciting, yes. How to invest in HYBE? Asking for a friend. You have to get a fund. You have to join a fund in order to do that because they will not allow you to invest right now. Although I think they're making some changes, and it's actually one of the things I'm going to be talking about here because there are some talks about BTS, about HYBE getting delisted in KOSPI or whatever, which is kind of crazy. But we'll talk about that. Um, Oh, okay, so what do you want to talk about first? Do you want to talk about HYBE getting delisted? Do you want to talk about BTS tour, news and updates, or a little bit about Min Hee-jin? Multi-stan, I've been asking people that too. How to invest in HYBE. Fairlane, congratulations to the next chapter in life. We will be here for you. Thank you. Thank you so much. This also, I'm not gonna lie. This like YouTube is actually a big relief because if I don't have YouTube, I'm just going to tap into my savings, which I don't want to do. I think one of the things that I've shared with you guys is that I want to have, and I would advise people to do this, to have 1 year's worth of your expenses in an emergency fund. You need to build an emergency fund that will pay for all your expenses for at least a year, if you can, 2 years. So I was able to build like half a year, but I'm not in 1 year yet. So but then it's okay because I have YouTube, which I used to just invest what I earn from YouTube somewhere else. But now I'll just use it for my expenses until I figure things out. But yeah, thank you. You guys are a huge help. I have heard some strong rumors about the BTS's tour. So another exciting thing, I actually shared it in WhatsApp because I was in WhatsApp after I got the call. I'm going to interview somebody who's very much in the touring business. And he was part of the team. He said that I can say this. He signed an NDA. So there are a lot of things that he can't say, but he said this, I can say this part. He was actually part of the group that was doing um, the fan engagement portion of the tour that was canceled, the Map of the Soul tour. If you would remember, before the pandemic, they were going to go on a stadium tour, Map of the Soul tour. And a huge part of it apparently was going to be fan experience. There's going to be this big fan experience, BTS, BTS armies can participate in. Some of it will be free, some of it will be paid. So he was part of the team that was actually putting that together, and then everything was canceled. I was talking with him, and then some other people to interview for the channel. And so I got some information from them, which I will be sharing with you now. But this guy, his name is Neil. So Neil, I will actually be interviewing on Friday, and he agreed to do a live stream. He agreed to do live stream. So I will be live streaming it to my subscribers in Patreon. So whatever you will get will be just unfiltered. And then I will air the interview for the public, those that are not a member of Patreon. I will air the interview, I'll cut it so that some information will just remain within our Patreon community. But it'll be this Friday. It's going to be 8 a.m. Pacific, so 10 p.m. So Eastern, it'll be 11 a.m. So exciting. He shared a lot of things. Of course, because he signed an NDA, there are some things that he won't be able to tell you guys, but some things that he was able to tell me. Because, yeah, NDA, guys. So sorry. But you will be able to ask him some questions just in case at the end of the interview, I'll allot like 10 minutes so that you guys can ask him questions, whatever question that you want to ask him, go ahead. So yeah, this Friday. And then I will probably start doing live interviews more, but exclusive to Patreon. And then whatever I upload for everybody else on YouTube, it'll be cut. Okay. All right. So hi Beth, Seda. So some more people actually join us. So what do you want to talk about first? What is up with Mama Roach? Is there a breaking news? There is a hearing today for, but it's not Mama Roach. It's for New Jeans and Adore for the termination of the sorry. This is related to Adore asking the court to solidify the no to confirm that the exclusive contract is still there. So that is going to be a this is going to be this afternoon in Korea, 4 p.m., and it's 11 right now in South Korea. So let's get that out of the way since it is bad news, right? The sooner that we can get rid of bad news, the better. So let's do this. So Team Bunnies was actually referred to prosecution. If you would remember, the Team Bunnies, this is the same team that owns the website Twitter and other websites. They're very active on forums in South Korea. They were also spearheading a lot of things. They were suing people. They filed a complaint against HYBE, against Adore, against whatever. Now, I guess they kind of got uh, a dose of their own medicine because someone actually filed a complaint against them. They filed a complaint against a netizen or several netizens filed a complaint against Team Bunny. So they went to the police to file a complaint. And this I got from this website. So just in case you want to verify that information. And this is the actual complaint on screen. So now what was crazy was that, so it was a netizen that submitted a complaint against them to the police. Now, the case was assigned to the Yongsan police station, and initially, the police didn't want to investigate. But since the complainant was really adamant that they do that they do an investigation, they agreed. Okay, they agreed to do an investigation. But the problem was that they didn't know who to sue or who to investigate. Like who this is like a Twitter account or a forum account or a fan base. Who are we going to sue? So they weren't sure in the beginning. Now, when they were being investigated, Team Bunnies designated a representative, which is apparently not the owner of the account that they're using on Twitter and other forums. They just designated a representative, and so the police um, asked if that is the right person to press charges against. And so I guess since she was designated as the representative, then they filed a complaint against her. Now they investigated her, and then she was forwarded to the prosecution. So I just want to make it clear though that she, again, that's not overreact. She hasn't been sued. So Team Bunnies hasn't been sued. There are headlines on X on different forums saying that they were already sued. They haven't been sued. A police complaint was filed against them, and then the police decided to forward their case to the prosecutor, meaning the police is telling the prosecutor, based on our recommendation, based on our investigation, you should file a complaint against them. Now the prosecutor's office will have to do their own investigation and determine whether it's even worth it to actually pursue this case. But it's just odd, I guess, to a certain extent, because they're getting a dose of their own medicine. And also, they have no choice but to get a lawyer. Now, just like in the US, the state can appoint a lawyer for them if they can't afford one, but if it is a criminal case. Now, whether or not it's going to be a criminal case will depend on the prosecutor. Okay, so let's see what's going to happen. But it is 5 million won or 50 million won. They're getting sued for 50 million won. The other update is, if you would remember, there's somebody who actually broke into the apartment of New Jeans while I think they already left the apartment, but someone broke in, a fan of them broke in, assassin. Now, that guy was fined. He was fined 100 million won for breaking in the apartment. So this is the schedule. There is a third hearing today at 4 p.m. And this is in relation to the confirmation of the validity of the exclusive contract of New Jeans under Adore. And then there is a hearing on the 22nd of August. And this is the third hearing between Source Music and Min Hee Jin. And then August 25, there is a third hearing, and this is in relation to the employee filing a complaint against Min Hee Jin. And this, they're busy. They're booked and busy. September 11, 3 p.m., there is a fourth hearing in relation to the termination of the shareholders agreement between HYBE and Min Hee Jin. And then October 31st is the fourth hearing in the damages lawsuit between B Lift Lab and Min Hee Jin. So Min Hee Jin is very busy, so is New Jeans. It's kind of like their own tour happening, but the venue is the court instead of an arena. Um, yeah, those are the latest in relation to her lawsuits. New Jeans had their anniversary, and Adore actually posted some videos. Apparently, some fans were actually celebrating, but New Jeans didn't. Now, they said that the biggest conflict right now is that not conflict, but the biggest hurdle that they have right now is the visa of Hanny. Allegedly, it's not a working visa that she was issued. It was a visa granted to those that are going through legal complaints. So if you need to face trial or whatever, South Korea can grant you a visa so that you can stay in the country and face those charges. Allegedly, that is what they are. That's what she has, and so they are unable to do any kind of projects because she doesn't have a working visa. So I guess even if Adore is able to secure some work for them, some brand deals, she won't be able to do anything, or at least the group or she won't be able to do anything because she doesn't have a working visa, and so they're kind of like in a pickle right now. Now, the only way for her to, there are two ways for her to get a visa. Either she does a residency, a permanent residency, where she will need some money, at least 500,000, but probably around 1.5 million. The requirement is that you do need 500,000, I think, in your bank account that you will be investing in South Korea. And then you need at least $1 million offshore somewhere else to show that you actually have money. So, which she should have because she was paid 3.4 million, but I guess she had to pay taxes or whatever. So that is like she can't do anything as of now because she doesn't have a visa. That is the short update on her. Do you have question? Lol Sugar walking through the airport. I know. Hi, boy. Will post a hearing update 30 minutes after it happens. He is a speed racer of updates and facts. Great. Yeah. I still don't. I know that he does. A lot of people are saying that why don't you just watch Hi Boy? Because I don't watch them, right? For his translation or whatever. I still don't want to do it. So I'm just relying on my friends. Thank God I have Korean friends here, so I'm just relying on them. And it's a little bit more. It's better for me because I can ask them questions. Like if there's something unclear, then I can always clarify with them. The only disadvantage is that, of course, they have a life. They also have work and whatever. So I can only talk with them and ask. They answer my question when it's convenient for them to answer my questions. I can't force them to do anything. NJ need to get a clue. They're going to completely lose any popularity in K-pop if they don't work soon, and they need a door to do it. I mean, I may not want to hear anything from them anymore, but they are cutting off their noses to spite their faces. Um, yeah, it's they are. I mean, you know how fast paced it is in K-pop. It's one thing if this happens in the US because, as you know, like Beyonce or Adele, it takes them like 4 or 5 years before they release a follow up album. But that is because, one, when they do promotion, it is a global scale promotion, and they make enough of an impact that it actually lasts them several years before people kind of start moving on from them. So they have that luxury. But in South Korea, and because they were so new, they're so new, they're like 2 years old when they had to stop. they haven't planted enough seeds for them to afford being gone for years. So they do need to start coming back. And then, as for someone was asking about the visa of Hani, well, that's what I thought. I thought somehow they resolved it. But as per the explanation, they said that because it was Adore who issued her an initial visa, Adore will have to renew it. If she gets a work visa from someone else, Adore will have to release her, which probably Adore won't do. And so the she can only get a visa some other way. One of which is what I've mentioned. She can get an investor's visa. So that's a permanent residency visa. I think that is the same visa that Lisa has because she has a property in South Korea. So the key is for you to bring in a lot of money and keep that in South Korea for like 5 years. So you don't touch it. So you can do it either in stocks or in properties. And then outside of that, you also need to show that you have enough money somewhere else. Meaning outside of your bank account in South Korea, you have a bank for whatever your home country is, then you need to have a bank account there, and then you need to have enough money there. So because South Korea wants to make sure that you're not just like pulling all of your money and then putting in South Korea just so you can have a visa. They want to make sure that you really are wealthy. No, for someone like Lisa, that's easy. She is wealthy now. As you can see, she has a house here. She has a house in South Korea. I'm sure she has a house in Thailand. And I'm sure she has a lot of cash. So for somebody like her, it's not a problem. But for her, I mean, she got 3.4 million. She got paid 3.4 million 2023, 2023. And so I'm assuming that she has enough money to actually invest. It's just that that means she won't have any money for anything else anymore. She will just have to invest that in South Korea, keep it there, and then the other half invest it somewhere and also not touch it. So I guess that's the struggle. Let's see. I mean, they still are earning, so they're still getting paid by HYBE, by Adore, for the streaming, and then they still have some brand deals that are carried over from their contract with Adore. So let's see what they will come up with. But I thought also it was also resolved. But allegedly, the visa that she got is the visa issued to people that are facing legal battles in South Korea. So if you get sued and you need to be in the country so that you can be called into court, that's the kind of visa that she got. But those are all unconfirmed. We don't know. Okay. Um, Maybe High Boy can inform Juni how to set fire under reverse. Okay. Didn't the NA give Hani a visa to allow her to stay in SK? So they said that it is a that I've just discussed that. They said it is a visa issued to people that are facing legal cases in South Korea. But unconfirmed. Those are unconfirmed. We don't know what kind of visa she has. All right, so let's do you want to talk about news and updates or BTS tour or Hybe? Angel Star, I think he only sees the floor. I don't know. I've been in since I was able to watch it live. Hi, Anna Maria. So do you want to talk about BTS tour? Just hopping on here for a few minutes. Hi everyone. Hi Nigma. Hello. Okay, BTS, Hybe or news and updates? Hybe. Okay, let's talk about Hybe. What's up with Weaver's translation in Big Big 2025? My dog wants to say hi. My dog wants to say hi. Let's here. Come here. Come on. Here he is. Okay. Let's say hi. I know, baby. Hi. Hi. Say hi. 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 Hello. Say hi, baby. Hi. This morning he wouldn't let me off the bed. He just he wanted to get as many scratches as he can. Show your face, baby, so that they see your cuteness. Hi. Let's get the mic out of the way so that they can see how cute you are. Hi. How was your poop? He went to the bathroom. How was your poop? Hmm? The family just said that the visa issue was resolved. A visa to stay and face court is resolved for the moment. Hi. Ask them if your haircut is cute. Ask them. Ask them, is my haircut cute? Am I back to being cute? He is back to being cute. Okay, let's talk about HYBE. Yeah, he was sleeping before I started, and then my mom just decided to take him out for his walk. Do you wanna take a walk again later? Hmm? He is adorable. I was just talking to him because I was looking at this story from Niall, the guy that I'm following. He rescues dog in Thailand, and one of the dogs that he rescued, the name is Cindy Crawford. So it was an obese dog, obese, and he lived outside of a 7-Eleven in Thailand. And it was just he was very unhealthy. He couldn't even walk. I guess people were just spoiling him, buying him something, giving it to him, and then he would eat it. And then so finally he rescued Cindy, got him back in shape, and then he was adopted and actually lived in, was it Denmark? Something like that. So he lived like a good 2-3 years, and then she just passed away. But she was surrounded with love. She was surrounded by family. So that's also always what I want to think about when you're rescuing a dog. I know it's emotionally hard for you when the dog passes away, but on the other hand, you have to think about it from their perspective. If you don't take care of them, then they will never know love, and they will never know how it is to have a home. So at least for Cindy Crawford, for the last 2-3 years of his life, or her life, she had a good one. Like she had a family, she was loved, she was surrounded by her brothers and sisters. They tried. It was cancer, so they tried to get him better. It's just that she couldn't anymore. So at the very least, she knew what it is to have a family, right? Okay, Adore said it started. Okay, let's talk about HYBE. All right, so this started because some guy, a lawyer, decided that he was going to start a class action lawsuit against HYBE. Okay, so now she went to the media saying that, here's the article. It was funny because it was like 1 to 100 in less than a minute. So he said that, that that it's unlikely that HYBE is going to get bid listed in KOSPI, but it is a possibility. So that's what you said. Like, it's unlikely, but it's possible that they will get delisted, and that they are going to start a class action lawsuit. They are going to sue HYBE for malpractice, basically for taking advantage of investors or whatever. So the law firm is law firm Rojibsa or something like that. Law firm Rojibsa. Representative. The attorney is Hee Jong Yuk. So I asked a friend of mine who's in South Korea to look this up, and she was like, this is a very, very small law firm. Very small law firm. It's like, probably 2-3 people in there at most, but it's a very small law firm. So he said we plan to file a class action lawsuit against Chairman Bang Shiyok of HYBE and related fund executives. So not just Bang Shiyok, but other people involved in going public. We believe, he said, that it will be subject to the class action lawsuit. Sorry, it's so small I can't read it. The class action lawsuit, and will proceed by recruiting by more than 50 plaintiffs. Okay, let me read it from somewhere bigger so I'm not. Okay, here. Okay, so he said, okay, so he said that the attorney said, although unlikely, there is a possibility that HYBE will be delisted. General shareholders could suffer enormous damages, and it's a very serious matter and could be subject to a review for manipulating listing. Okay. And then in the next page, it said Chairman Bang is currently under indictment by financial authorities on charges of fraudulent and unfair trading. On the 16th, the Security and Futures Commission held a regular meeting and reported Chairman Bang and former executives of HYBE to the prosecution on charges of violating the Capital Markets Act prohibition of unfair trading practices. It has been reported that the Financial Service Commission expressed confidence improving Chairman Bank's charges during the investigation. Okay, so HYBE issued a statement and said it is regrettable that the fact, sorry, let me turn this to the next page so that you can see where I'm reading from. Okay, says I'm on the last paragraph. HYBE said it is regrettable that the fact that the largest shareholder actively explained that he did not seek private gain under the premise of listing when he appeared for financial supervisory sup- services investigation was not accepted, and added, we respect the decision of the financial authorities and will do our best to restore the trust of the market and stakeholders by more actively clarifying related suspicion on future investigation. Okay, so that's their statement. Lovely baby. All right. So that's where this talk about HYBE actually getting delisted started. This is where it started because of this guy and because he mentioned that although it is unlikely, it is possible. So, okay, let's go through it. So what is a class action lawsuit? I don't know. For you guys who live in the US, I'm sure at some point in your life you've actually received a notice, a letter, an email, a text message telling you that if you've ever purchased something, if you've ever used a certain type of service, you may be eligible for some compensation. And then all you need to do is sign this document and you will already be a part of a class action lawsuit. And for the most part, it is those are like legit. They actually are class action lawsuit. I've actually signed one, and it was against Google. Someone sued Google. I can't quite remember what it was for, but someone said like, "Oh, you can be eligible for a class action lawsuit. You just need to sign here." I signed it, and I did get about $35 in check after about 3 years. I think 3 4 years or something like that. I got $35, and so what it basically did was include me in in a group of people suing them, but I'm just one of the many. So the hard part of the lawsuit is actually being done by the law firm, and yes, they will earn. So okay, we'll get there. So, why use a class action lawsuit? So, for efficient handling of many small or moderate claims that would be impractical to file individually. So, for example, if I sued Google, I'm gonna have to spend a huge amount of money just to sue them. And for what, right? So what you do is you join a group so that the group will pay a law firm and the law firm will do all the work. And then once the decision is done, either we get our money or we don't. So it because of the amount of plaintiffs that are involved in this, it strengthens negotiating power against large corporations like Google, for example, and in this case, Hive. So legal costs are shared across the group and usually contingent on winning, meaning if they win, then the law firm gets paid. If we do not win, then they take on all the costs. So for me, as one of the many plaintiffs, then there's no damage to me. I didn't do any. All I need to do was actually sign something. So um, so that's essentially what the class action lawsuit is. Hope you didn't spend it all in once. I did. So once I got the check, so I think it was like, I don't even remember. It was like $35. It wasn't even 35, probably like 33 point something. I was like, oh my god, I have $35. I'm gonna get 20. I was so initially I said I'm gonna get gas. And then I decided I'm just gonna go get boba. And then I was with a friend at that time. So I said, I'm gonna pay for your boba. And that was it. That was gone. $35 against Google. Pathetic. Okay. But at least I had boba. It was a really good boba. Okay. So that's what a class action lawsuit is. Okay, wait. Am I buffering? Am I buffering? Let me know. Am I buffering? Because I am buffering. I mean, for me, my view is actually buffering. I'm buffering. Okay, let's wait a little. Let it pass. Okay, I'm gonna put my dog down. Say bye bye, baby. Say bye. Say bye. I'll see you later again. Okay. Well spent, boba, right? I think I made the best decision. Okay, so it's a little hot. All right. Okay. I think I look like a robot. Okay, I hope it's better now. All right. So that's what happened to my class action lawsuit, which I won $35 against Google. Okay. Next, at least I had boba out of it. Wait a minute, my slides won't move. Okay, there you go. So in this case, who can sue? In HYBE's case, the class members, the people that can actually sue, would be investors. It could be institutional, meaning if there is a fund that actually started investing in HYBE, then they can sue. Or it could be retail investors, meaning those that are buying stocks individually. So, like me, I buy individually. So, if, for example, we decide to sue whatever, I have Tesla stocks. So, if we decide to do Tesla because I am a stakeholder, past or present, then I can be a part of the lawsuit. So, in this case, it could be institutional or retail investors. Okay. And who suffered financial? So anybody who was involved in that company in the beginning, if they suffered financial losses as a result of what they claim to be manipulation, then they can also join the lawsuit. So, if HYBE executives manipulated stock prices or failed to disclose key risks like internal conflict or audit issues, shareholders who bought before the news broke may qualify. Okay, so those are the people who can sue. Um, Now, how do law firms find plaintiffs? They actually approach people one by one in the same way I was approached for that Google lawsuit, right? So I think I received an email. Do you remember when Google created like Google something? But it was like they were trying to compete with Facebook. But they created a social media and they were trying to create with to they were trying to compete with Facebook. They dropped that, but they were trying to compete with Facebook. I can't remember the name of that, but it was that product. So they emailed me and they said, if you ever had an email, if you ever registered for that website, then you're qualified. So it's actually individual. It's the law firm individually approaching people. So that's what they are going to do. Since this law firm that's trying to sue, that's trying to start the class action lawsuit stated that they want at least 50 people, 50 plaintiffs, then they're going to have to find 50 people who were or who could have been affected by what happened. Okay. So there are firms that actually specialize in security litigation. So they will monitor stock prices, and they will look at corporate disclosure, the different types of document, and then based on that, as soon as they get somebody that will be like the lead plaintiff, then they can start suing. They can start the process of suing HYBE, but they need at least one. Okay, they need Google Plus. There you go, Google Plus. Google Plus. So that was what they started as a it was a social media platform, and they wanted to compete with Google, with Facebook. So I registered, and then after like 2 years, I think I got a letter. You can sue them. You can win lots of money. Well, I guess the lots of money for them is $35, and I bought boba. Okay, so after that, so for as long as they get at least one person that will be willing to put her name or his name on the dotted line, then they can start the process. So they will start doing outreach to different investors. They can start sourcing on social media, just send out a notice. If anybody has been affected by this, get in touch with us. You can join the lawsuit. If you bought HYBE shares between April and June of 2024 and lost money, you may be entitled to compensation, which is exactly the kind of wording that I got, the kind of email that I got when they asked me to join the class action lawsuit against Google. If you ever join Google Plus between this date and this date, then you may be entitled to compensation. I was entitled to compensation, $35. All right. So the film, so these are the things that need to happen. The filing, so the firm files the class action lawsuit. I'm going to go to something bigger so I can see it well. Okay, so these are the stages basically. First is the filing. So the firm will actually file the class action lawsuit with a lead plaintiff. After that, there is a class certification. And the court, this is when the court will decide if the case actually classifies a class action lawsuit. So just because the law firm says this is a class action lawsuit doesn't make it so. The court will have to determine if you have the right plaintiffs, you have enough grounds to actually do this, because the court doesn't want to waste its time. Remember, the judges are getting paid, and they are paid with the taxes of the people. They can't just be dealing with cases that don't really matter. Okay, then after that, they do a discovery. So both sides will actually exchange documents, emails, audit trails. The the goal is for both parties to see the validity, to check the validity of their documents, to see if there is anything they can correct, and also to allow both parties to make preparation for the hearing of the case. Now, two things can happen. Either there will be a trial, so they're going to go and sue each other, or they will settle. Okay. And settlement is actually pretty common. And this is utilized even by law firms or by defendants, even when they are not guilty, just to avoid any kind of hearing. Getting a lawyer to the court is not cheap. It's very, very expensive. You usually pay lawyers by the hour. So, and they're not cheap. Sometimes some lawyers will actually charge 500 per minute, something like that. Ridiculous amount. So if they need to go to court, they get paid for every minute they are in court, and they also have to get paid for the preparation that they do. So for them to have a case for a trial, they actually need to prepare, they need to practice the witnesses, they need to research for documents. All of those things will have to be paid, so it's very, very expensive. So some people, for practicalities purposes, just to make it go away, then they settle. However, usually in a court case like this, what both parties will agree to do is that whoever ends up losing, quote unquote, will pay the legal fees of the other party. So if HYBE actually wins, then part of the agreement is that you guys who sued will be paying our people. Okay. Um, all right. Next, I want to just make it bigger. All right. Okay. Next, How law firms get paid. So this is for many law firms, this is the bottom line. This is one way for them to earn. Usually class action law firms work on no win no fee model, meaning they need to win the case for them to get paid, so they take a cut out of the amount that they won. However, it's not as easy. It says here if they win or settle, they receive a percentage of the total award, typically 25 to 35%. However, outside of that 25 to 35%, sorry, 35%, they also get from the settlement, they also need to get their fees, meaning the whatever fees that the manpower, if they need to pay for any document, anything of that sort, travel, that gets deducted from the settlement, and then whatever is left, they get 25 to 35%. So usually the amount that the defendants, oh sorry, the plaintiffs get ends up being $35, like the one that I got, because a bulk of that goes to the law firm. So it's a huge cash grab for a lot of law firms. So for example, if HYBE settles, this is just an example, $100 million, then the law firm might receive 25 to 35 million dollars. However, as I've said, they still will also deduct all the expenses, and that includes their fees. Okay. And but if they lose, then they get nothing. Okay. Google was just hit with 314 million class action lawsuit. The law firm will get 25-35%, so the law firm gets 94 million, while a big bunch of people will get about 30. Excuse me, I got 35. Well, it's actually a 33 point something, 75 or something. It was like, but on the other hand, I didn't do anything, right? I just signed. So I'm like, if I get like 10 of this in a year, that's $350. Not bad. It's like grocery for whatever, for a month or something, or food of my dog for a month. Okay. Now, even though the law firm, as I've mentioned, even though the law firm and class representative agree upfront for a fee on what kind of division or split they're going to settle, the judge will still, or the court will still determine if it is fair. So even if their contract states that the law firm will get 35% after all the expenses have been deducted, the court will still have to approve that. So if they say that, yeah, no, this is too much, you can only get 5%, then they will have to comply with what the court actually wants. But usually it's 25 to 35%. Okay. Um, Hi, Carmi. You're checking in again. What are you doing? Are you working? Are you in class? Okay, now things that are very important for us to understand. Stakeholders, past or present, may join the lawsuit. That's number one. Second, they do need to recruit first a lead plaintiff, at the very least one, at least one. Now, more people joins, the better their case will be. If there are like two people, the court can say, well, two people got affected, that's not bad or whatever. Then the lawyer could just be also trying to get some PR, and he's getting it. So remember, this is a very small law firm in South Korea. And then suddenly publications are actually putting it's his name and the name of his law firm on their newspaper. That's free advertising. So it could very well be he probably knows that nothing's going to come of it, but who cares? It's free PR. People are now aware of the name of his law firm. So next time he tries to get a client, people will trust him more, right? So that's also a possibility. Hi, OSP. Okay. So again, it's all about sound bites. He very clearly stated, although unlikely, there is a possibility that HYBE will be delisted in KOSPI, which is the stock exchange of South Korea. The thing is that he's not stupid. He knows that there is a huge difference between possibility and probability, but he only mentioned possibility. So he said, although unlikely, it's possible that HYBE will be delisted from KOSPI. So now people are picking up on it, even though it's groundless. People are just, oh my God, HYBE is going to get delisted. Okay, So the other thing is that they need to prove loss. So remember, in court, a crime is not a crime unless there is loss. So, for example, in libel, even if you lied, if there is no damage done, it is not libel. You need to prove damage. And in this case, this law firm will have to prove that the stakeholders actually lost money. If they are unable to prove that, then nothing's going to come out of it. So far, based on the documents that have already been released, nobody actually lost money. So can HYBE, now the next question is, and actually this was a question, I joked about this when I heard about this law firm saying that HYBE can actually get delisted. My immediate reaction is that, by God, just move your operation to the US. So I was like, why not just get HYBE America to, and to go public? Just I, oh my God, it's like, imagine, and it's one thing, it's one thing to get roped into any kind of trouble when it is substantial, right? When there is grounds. But most of the things that HYBE is actually dealing with, they're so childish that if it is me, I would be so pissed because I'm paying my lawyers to deal with childish accusations. So I'm like, just move it to the US. Nobody's gonna care the same way we don't care about the members going in and out of the airport. We're not gonna care about who's managing who. I mean, how many the amount of troubles that executives of music industry of the music of the majors, the amount of troubles that executives in major labels have gotten themselves in, the amount of controversies that owners of big corporations have gotten themselves in. We don't That doesn't translate to the artist. It's like, oh, this guy's a scumbag, get him out of the company. And that's how we deal with it here in the US. So I feel like, why don't you just make HYBE America go public? And let, what if Korea doesn't want you, just move. Okay. So that's why I posted in X and I said that HYBE America should just go public. So can HYBE America actually go public? The short answer is yes. Hive America can actually go public, definitely, uh, but with certain conditions, because as of now they still are considered a subsidiary of Hive Korea. So if Hive Company is delisted, if Hive in Korea is delisted, it doesn't automatically prevent Hive America from going public to the US. They just need to make some preparations. So, what kind of preparations do they need to do to get listed publicly in the US? Okay, number one, probably we won't move forward. Number one is a reorganization. So they need to reorganize the ownership, possibly spin off or become independently governed. Because right now, as I've mentioned, Hive America is under Hive Korea. So what's going to happen is that they could just break away from Hyde Korea. So they're going to operate on their own. The books will be separate, owners will be separate, executives will be separate. It's just going to be a separate company altogether. The same way iGin, the company of Jin, is separate from Hybe. That's that's how it's going to be set up. These are just going to be two separate companies. Next, of course, there are some requirements in SEC, our security commissions, and of course, the NYSE, the New York State Stock Exchange. There are certain requirements they need to fulfill all of those requirements, and mostly it's about finances, assets, what you're doing, the kind of business that you are pursuing, and all of those things. And then, of course, they need to demonstrate financial independence and governance credibility. So that means they need to establish that Hybe America, in deed and in documents, will not be under Hybe Korea anymore. That's the first step. And then you go through all the legal requirements in order to get listed. What would Hybe need to do in order to get there? Okay. So they need to do a corporate restructuring. That's the first step. spin off HYBE America into a standalone entity, reduce majority ownership to avoid foreign parent control scrutiny. So right now, majority of the ownership is on Bang, Bang Shio. He might have to let go of some shares and give it to BTS. uh, but so that in the US, because in the US, foreign entities are not allowed to earn certain things. They're allowed to own certain things, but there are also limits to that. So he needs to comply to that limit in order to not be viewed as a foreign parent control. For in order for HYBE America to not be viewed as a subsidiary and not view HYBE Korea as a foreign parent that controls HYBE America. Okay, hope that makes sense. So they just need to establish US based board of directors, independent management, and as I've said, different ownership structure. So if I am Bang Shiuk, I'm just going to give some of my shares to BTS. We're all done. Okay, of course, they need to do some financial disclosures. There is a gap compliant financials. These are very very technical terms, things that you do when you go public. I have never led a team in taking a company public. I've been a part of it, but not I've never led, and that happened when I was very very young, so like maybe 20 pounds ago. So next is audited statements going back to 2 to 3 years. Okay, and then they will have to prove revenue independence. So right now, a lot of the income of HYBE is still coming from Korean acts. HYBE America has been relentlessly investing on companies. So they need to make sure that when they go public, they can prove that they won't be highly reliant on Korean acts, that the American acts will actually be enough to sustain the business. And they do have a lot of artists signed under them. I know that you know that they own quality control, and then so they have a lot of artists there. So this part I'm not really worried about. The other thing is that they could structure the contracts of BTS so that HYBE America will be their label when they are doing in activities in the US. So that's another. But it is important for SEC to actually see that they are getting other sources of income other than BTS, not highly reliant on BTS. Okay, next, they need to file some forms. It's called an S1 with the SEC for IPO registration. These are some. This is actually the easiest part of it because it's like really filling up the form. It's providing the documentation that will actually be difficult. Address any reputational or legal baggage from the Korean parent. So if there's any kind of controversy in South Korea, they're gonna have to explain what happened, why did you get delisted, stuff like that. They can do that. That's a minor thing. It's a minor consideration. Next, there are precedents. So there are companies from other states or other countries that have actually gone public. So they have a company in another country, and it's public there, and then they went public in the US as well. Alibaba is one of them. They have a parent company in China, but in the US they actually are listed via the Alibaba Group Holdings, and it's registered in Cayman Island. And then there is Arms Holdings, UK based chip firm that spun off and IPO'd in the US under SoftBank. And then there's Baidu, Didi, Luckin Coffee. Some of them got delisted in Chinese companies and then saw relisting in the US after major corporate clear ups. So it has been done before. They can definitely do it again. Okay. So what are the risks? We're geeking out here. I hope that you don't mind. Okay, what are the risks? One is the loss of investor trust, right? Because if you're moving from one country to another, the first question of people would be, well, why are you doing that? Why are you just not doing I mean, Samsung didn't have to relist, right? So US investors might be like, I'm not sure. You know, if you can't handle your business in your home country, how can you handle your business in here? And then there's the reputational spillover. It's kind of similar. You know, if you had troubles in your own country, that could get carried over here. There could also be funding obstacles. The parent company may struggle to inject capital or coordinate global operations. So if there is HYBE Korea, and then they will have to put money in HYBE America, I don't know if they have enough. And then the legal baggage. US investors or US regulators may probe connections if the listing involved fraud or unfair trading. Okay. Now, what are the advantages? One is that HYBE America could position itself as a US focused entertainment and IP company, distinct from HYBE Korea's political and media drama. And I think this is going to be the biggest consideration. As I've said, one of the things that's really pissing me off about this entire thing is that a lot of it is really juvenile. If they get listed in the US instead of in Korea, we're just going to leave all of that behind, right? It's just because you know how businesses are operated here. CEOs can get caught having an affair with somebody in a Coldplay concert. It doesn't mean that the company is going to tank. They will just fire the CEO, but the company is going to continue operating. See, that's a clear example. Um, it was a very, very public scandal. They got caught with their arms around each other. He's married, she's married, he's got kids. The company is fine. They just fired him. In fact, people are just laughing about it. It's not, no one is saying like that company is illegal, that company is immoral, the entire thing has to be destroyed. Nah. It for us, it's just like you got what you deserve, you a-hole. Okay, move along. Or just gonna make a meme out of you until a new source of entertainment comes along. In the meantime, it's you. That's it. That's what's going to happen. So that's how in America, that's how we look at things. Just because the CEO is doing something wrong doesn't mean that the entire house has to be burned down. So that's one advantage if they move to the US. Whatever trouble HYBE is going to get into or Bang Shiuk is going to get into, whatever scandal they throw his way, it will not mean that we would want the entire company to fall apart. In the first place, we're very, very aware that there are employees in that company. They're trying to pay their bills, they're supporting their families. Let's not get them involved in that freaking CEO of astronomer having an affair with this. That's his deal. That's his problem, not the problem of the entire company. Okay, all right. He's going to be that Coldplay couple is going to be around for a while. Okay, next, HYBE America, of course, owns Scooter Braun's former company SB Project, and he will have whatever IP SB Project has will be now in HYBE America. US IPO will also equal higher valuations. So, more growth capital, especially if they present a global entertainment vision like Disney or UMG. And with the restructuring of regulations and laws, where the government is now favoring local companies, right? The government is making a lot of changes so that companies that are here, registered here, will be favored more. Then they will enjoy that benefit if they just list here because they will be treated as a local company as opposed to being a subsidiary of a foreign company. The US market may care less about K fandom, infighting, and more about revenue growth and IP diversification. As I've mentioned, we will not care about that. We won't care if Bang Shiuk gets caught having three girlfriends at the same time. We're not gonna care about him gaining weight, about one of the artists getting caught smoking pot or whatever. We don't care about that in terms of the company. We're just going to at the same way we're doing it with this Coldplay couple. They are the meme of the year. That's what's going to happen. We're going to make a joke out of it. We're going to have fun. But again, we're not, in terms of the company, we're not going to ask for that company to get dissolved just because the owners or the executives are doing something wrong. Okay. And next, of course, a public US listing could help attract top tier executives, tech leaders, and creators in LA and, of course, in New York City. If HYBE, now let's look at the risks. If HYBE Korea continues to spiral because of all the things that people are doing, US investors may view HYBE America as too intertwined. So, although I don't think that's going to happen, but still a possibility. If the market perceives HYBE America's value as too dependent on BTS, then that could also spell trouble. People are not going to feel inclined to invest. However, I also am not very worried about that because they do have a very thick portfolio. We're just not aware of it because, like, for example, quality control is actually operating independently. Like they're just doing business as usual. And of course, the SEC, the Securities and Exchange Commission, may scrutinize the same financial governance issues being investigated in Korea before it is allowed to actually go public. And investors may be confused about who controls what. So those are the disadvantages if they actually go public in the US. So I think at this stage, the advantages still outweigh the disadvantages. Now, let's just remember that all these things about HYBE being too reliant on BTS, um, that may be true to a certain extent. They're still reliant on BTS. Although in the last 2 years, they have proven that they can stay afloat without BTS direct involvement. But let's also remember that they have acts like TXT and the Seraphim who are actually going on tours, selling out their arena tours. And there are many Western artists that are not even able to sell out theaters. So they actually have many of their artists are actually bringing in enough money. If you compare it to the artists that many Western majors, the major labels have, there are very few in relation to the amount of roster that they have. HYBE actually has more artists that can bring in money compared to the amount of artists that majors have that can bring in real money in relation to the total roster that they have. So, for example, for HYBE, just an example, if in total they have like 10 artists, six or seven of that, they're bringing in money in terms of sales and in terms of tour, as opposed to Universal that has 100 artists, but only two or three are actually bringing in money in terms of sales and in terms of tour. So they may have less, but it's more efficient. Okay. Next, if Hive decides to do more paid play listing or do the same types of marketing efforts that other agencies are doing in the US, they will actually be able to position themselves better, exert more influence on radio, and of course control a little bit more of the public opinion, which in the end will lead to mainstream recognition. It's just that at this moment, I think Hyde just refuses, or maybe it's the artists that are just refusing to do paid play listing, all the tricks that other even K-pop artists are actually using. So, a lot of K-pop artists that are signed with US labels, they enjoy the connection of the US label with radio. They get playlisted, all of those things. So, in the eyes of the public, it seems that they're bigger than they actually are. They go on tour, they can't sell out a theater. So, that is an example on how it's actually tilted. The impression is incorrect because from the mainstream point of view, it seems that HYBE artists are smaller when in fact they are bigger because they're the ones that are actually selling out their tours, that are actually for their sales, as opposed to other K-pop artists. It's all media blitz, no real money coming in. Okay, so do you have questions? Questions about this entire listing? I think the SK government fears using BTS and HYBE because they're a huge source of revenue. They are afraid of using. Um, Arlise Bunny, excellent point. The one that often gets overlooked. The Korean government is unusually active in overseeing and evenly informally shaping major entertainment industry IPOs. So my FTWSJ subscriptions are paying off. I wonder if the reason the SK government brought their charges up against was in order to keep HYBE from expanding. But that doesn't make sense to me because if you're the government and if you're a country, don't you want companies in your country to go bigger? Because they're going to bring in money if they're going to go bigger. So that doesn't really make sense to me. I think it's really more about politics, all this targeting of whatever. It's more about politics. I know that the current president actually won by positioning himself as anti-rich. So he makes himself appear as, a guy for the masses, a guy for the poor, even though he has an existing case related to money. So, and I guess these people making an effort to go after big companies want to be on the good side of the president. Maybe that's one. And then the other thing is that the other option could be they are just the loud minority. It could be that they are the loud minority. That majority of Koreans don't actually care, but because anything related to HYBE, anything related to Bang Shihyuk, BTS, it gets a lot of media. And so these people, the prosecutor, the police, they want that headline. They want that media blitz and that media attention. And so they're going to go after HYBE because they know that that's what's going to get them on the papers. Remember, they dangled excusing BTS from military service right up until BTS enlisted. Um, that's yes, that's definitely true. Even and that what was crazy about that is that BTS themselves kept on emphasizing that they weren't interested at all um, to get the exemption. They just don't want it. But people just kept on repeating it, even though they said that they were going to enlist, right? Because that's what's going to get them on the headlines. So I think it's all about getting into the good side of the current president, getting some media attention because anything related to BTS people talk about. But the truth is that they are very much a minority. Majority of people don't care. Does that really impress the public in SK? I don't think it's about impressing the public in SK. I think it's about the media. Because what is on the media seems to be real to them. What I mean is HYBE leaving SK behind and moving operations in the US. They don't want okay, I get it. So you're saying that the reason they are doing this is because they don't want HYBE to grow big enough to be able to leave South Korea and move to the US. It is short-sighted. It is very short-sighted. But the the other thing is that we all know the long-term plan of BTS is global career. They all want to have a global career, not get tied to just South Korea. Although I think they're going to do it in different capacities. We know that Suga, for example, wants to do more production, wants to do more writing. I'm sure he's still going to pursue solo careers, and he should. By God, all the records that still is waiting for him to, to break. So 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 I think just having a stronger presence in the US will be better for them. And as I've said, we're getting into that stage in the country where US local countries, local US companies are getting more favors, right? I think it'll be stronger for that. It'll just be advantageous taxes, funding, all of those things. So this politician's desire to want to put HYBE under their control while willingly support any efforts to destroy or defame HYBE, Big Hit, and BTS is so top tier crab mentality. I agree. I agree. But I also, to a certain extent, I also kind of believe that this is just a really, really loud minority. And this is your emotional support pictures of the day. Suga and Jungkook. Um, I love this picture of Suga. I usually like I usually like it when I can see the eyes of the artist, but there's something so pensive about this picture of Suga. This was taken in his last tour. Uh, there's a little bit of a mystery there, but also some serenity. So I love it. And also the picture of Jungkook is he looks so good. He looks so good. I really love stolen shots. So I totally love this picture. See, that's your emotional support picture of the day. I promised you that I was always going to show you at least one, and this is your one. Well, two. And then you have Dae. Oh my gosh, there is such a post military guy now. I hope he doesn't lose it. He looks so good, don't you think? Looks so good. I don't know. He was just God spent a little bit more, like more time on him. I'm on a good. When he was getting created, God was like, "I'm on a good mood today. Work a little bit more," and that's what happened. He looks so good. Okay. Dan and his see-through tops. I know, see-through tops. Okay. And then you have, of course, Suga and RM leaving Incheon, headed to, this was yesterday. This was yesterday. And they are headed to here in LA. They probably are already here. So, great. They're gonna come back. I think they're back to working in the studios. We know that the matinee actually was that the matinee line was left behind, probably working on their music, and now we're very close to getting all of them complete. I know that Amsterdam is actually going to get a live theater screening. I think, but yeah, so that would be 5 members. Sorry, 6 members. 6 members already in one place. We've got one on the loose, completing his concert. And then I'm pretty sure that soon enough, all of them are going to come to the studio together, start recording if they haven't already. But I am sure that others are fulfilling some brand endorsement deals or whatever. Great for them. I love that Suga was walking very fast. A lot of people were asking where they can actually find the store where RM, Suga, and Jimin went to shop for caps. So just follow them in Hat Clubs. So that's their at, and it's right here in Third Street. Third Street. They're in the corner, but the hats Jimin supporting. I don't have today. I don't have Jimin today. So the hat one, the ones that they bought, they're out. It was sold out already. So our army bought them already. I think they're gonna try and bring in some more, but as of now, it is sold out. I went there and they're sold out. But just follow them on IG. I do have an emotional support pic of Jin. isn't isn't that a great picture of Jin? I love it. I love it. I absolutely love that picture of Jin. See, look at that. Of course, his concert in Dallas. To our Dallas people, congratulations! It was sold out, already confirmed, and yeah, congratulations. And I'm sure that I think there are very few tickets left, if at all, in NJ. But I think NJ is already sold out as well. So yeah, so congratulations, Texas. He sold out his concert. Kim Sok Jin will finish the second night of the American Airlines Center with two sold out nights, 4.5 million in revenue and 26,113 solo tickets, making AAC Jin's top selling concert in the USA. Attendance to hit 26,652 armies. For Texas, this is an Asian solo achievement. Imagine that. I thought Honda was going to take it, but no, it's American Airlines. Congratulations. Love it. Absolutely love it. I can't wait for New Jersey. Let's go and represent, okay? New Jersey people. New Jersey sweet people. And the best selling artist of all time, top 500. So there are only 13 K-pop acts that entered, which is still a good number, by the way. So top one is BTS, followed by 17, followed by Stray Kids, followed by Blackpink. But the gap is actually pretty big. So let me see, make it bigger. Okay, so this is the best selling artists of all time. Number 30. Let me see. I need new glasses. So number 39 or 38 is BTS. And then followed by 17, but that is 149. So the gap between the top selling K-pop act to the second best selling K-pop act is actually pretty big. It's humongous. And then you have Stray Kids 227, Blackpink is 229, and then after that you have Twice, and then EXO, NCT Dream, HYBE, aespa, Tomorrow X Together, New Jeans, Jungkook, whose career spanned like a total of 8 months, Les Seraphim, and then Jimin also less than what, a year and 6 months, I think, is his career. So there are two members of BTS, solo members of BTS in the top 500 best selling artists of all time, and then BTS takes the top spot. So, but what's I guess impressive is that the gap between the first place and the second place is just humongous. That's 39 and then 149. More than 100 places down. That's where you will find the second best performing K-pop act, or Korean act, actually, not just K-pop, but Korean act. So they BTS has sold a total of, let me see if I can make this bigger. BTS has sold a total of 136 million, and then 136 billion, and then 64 for 17. Okay. Yep, congratulations BTS. And also congratulations to Jungkook. My god, Jungkook is like, he promoted for like 8 years. Can you imagine? It's not 8 years, 8 months, less than 8 months. Look at that. And he's already at 442. My God. I mean, one more album, and he's probably going to jump like, I don't know, 200 places or something. Isn't that amazing? And also Jimin. That's like 1 year. He's had like he's had two albums, but that's like both mini albums. So this too, okay, congratulations to BTS and the two members, individual members who made it. And then the group individual ranking for the brand value of for July, Jimin takes the top spot. And then that's GD in the second spot. But also look at the gap between number one and number two. It's almost 2 million, more than 2 million actually. And then you have Jungkook at number four, and then Suga at number seven, Jin at number eight. We're just looking for them. And then J Hope number 12, RM at number 13, V at number 15. That's all of them, right? Yeah. So they're back. They haven't done anything, but they're back in the brand reputation ranking. While Jin is going on tour and J Hope just finished his tour, but still, no group come back yet, but they're there. No promotion for Jimin's second album. Correct. No promotion for Jimin's second album. Um, he himself didn't promote it. I know that there's a long-standing joke on his account on IG that he's OT6 because he doesn't promote himself. He promotes everybody. He supports everybody that's promoting himself. So it's probably OT6. Okay. And then these are the only K-pop male acts or male Korean acts, not just K-pop, but male Korean acts that have hit number one on Billboard Global 200 chart in history. So that is 7 times for BTS, 3 times for Jungkook, and one for Jimin. So what can I say? BTS paved the way. Oh my god, when that album actually drops, I know that there are some producers that are actually already dropping hints. I'm happy that we're getting something out of them, but some updates. But also to a certain degree, I kind of want it to be in BTS's time. I want them to dictate when people will know what they're doing. But if BTS doesn't mind, then I guess I don't mind as well. And then also just a reminder that BTS is the most awarded artist of all time. So this is not the first. They are not the most awarded K-pop act. They're not the most awarded Asian native act. Not the most awarded Asian act. Not the most awarded group. They are just the most awarded artist of all time in history. More than 1,400 physical awards in just 10 years of their career. And the most amazing thing is that they don't, for the large part of their career, they don't sing in English. So imagine that. They're getting all of these awards from different parts of the world, and they primarily sing in Korean. So remember this achievement because they're the most awarded artist, no cap, bar none, of all time. 1,400 physical awards. Work with Pharaoh. Okay. I actually don't want any kind of collaboration in their next album, but I'll take what I can get, whatever it is that they want. Um, there is also a joke going around that Jin is a JK solo stan and J Hope is a Jimin solo stan. I saw that. I saw that because Jin kept on posting about JK. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I saw that. Crazy, crazy people. Okay, and then this is a great takedown by Jin. Very classy, but it's a master act on how to take down useless, crazy things that fans are saying. So one fan was talking about why Jin actually gets the most amount of brand endorsements, brand ambassadorship deals, and he said, "Oh, it's just that I did a lot, but the other members actually get tons of ad offers too, like dozens or hundreds. They just choose not to do them." Even I've turned down more than a dozen myself. I think I'm gonna focus on what I'm doing now and probably won't take on anymore. Though if something I really like pops up, I might totally change my so I this is such a classic takedown. This is Jin saying that stop all this nonsense about who has the most amount of brand deals, because at the end of the day, it is the members that are actually saying no. That if they are just after the money, they're just gonna start accepting all the brand deals that are being offered, but they are the ones that are saying no. And also, this is a strategy that is being employed by many Hollywood acts. Many of them actually tend to not do a lot of endorsements because if there's and because they're taking care of their image. And if the company that they're working with ends up actually not doing something bad or getting roped in some kind of a whatever, like uh, a controversy or something, then they are going to get roped in it too. So a lot of Hollywood stars actually avoid doing a lot of endorsements. So this is not an uncommon strategy for artists to be really picky. And then the other thing is that many of BTS, although we don't know about it, they're really very savvy businessmen. So I think they're getting a lot, and they're great investors. So I think they don't need it. They don't need a lot of brand deals because they're making enough money from what they're doing, and also a lot of money from their investments in their businesses. Okay. Also, please watch the music video of TXT. I haven't actually, but I will be doing a reaction. So my plan is tonight. I'm actually gonna go live just to watch some videos. You can join if you want to join, but I'm gonna go live just to watch some videos. I'll watch some short clips or whatever. Let's see. So please watch TXT. I'm so excited. This is the first time. This is their first comeback where I'm really actually watching everything. And then Stacy, I mean, end to end, like I'm really keeping up with what they're doing. Stacy, also one of my favorite girl groups. They just released I Want It. They released it 2 days ago. They already have 5 million views. So please go ahead and watch that. I love them. They are for me a breath of fresh air because they came out at the time when everyone was going girl crush, woman power, female power, women empowerment, and they were just like here and said, oh, we're just gonna have fun. And they did. So I absolutely love them. I'm actually a member of their fan club in Weverse. Also, 50/50, please support Pookie, their latest single. It was released a while ago. It's just that I love supporting every Are You Next girl, because I actually watched that show live, like when it was going on. So I got attached to the girls. I want all of them to be successful. This girl, Chanel, was actually in the final, I'll say, I think final 16 or something like that, or final 13, but she was dropped second to the last, in the semifinals is when she was dropped. But she's so talented. And I mean, I was watching her. Of course, there's a lot of editing involved, right? But based on what I saw, she was one of the girls who was like really passionately supporting other girls. It's just that it didn't work out for her, but she was like, that she was genuinely happy for other girls. She was so supportive. Like the way that she would cheer isn't the kind of cheer that you're forcing someone to do, but she was just really happy for them. She's such a great woman, young woman, that I really want her to succeed. And so it was great. So she has been training, I think, for with HYBE for about 5 years when that happened, and then she got dropped, and I think she decided to stop training with HYBE. But I felt like she deserves her shot, and this is her shot. So I hope that you actually support her. Did you ever watch Jin's traditional alcohol journey? It's short, 6 episodes that he did right before the military with Chef Beck. It's what led to Jin. Yeah, I know. I think it's part of the when they did that. It was actually he was on his way to actually doing that. He had this business in mind already. I haven't watched it, but it's part of the many things that I'm actually going back to watch. Many of their content that we'll go back to watch. And then Ha Yoon Jin finally accepted the invitation to be a member of Grammys. So when I first talked about this, they got the invitation. This time they actually accepted the invitation. So she's a formal member of the Grammy. So is the three members, I think, or two members of 17, and also NHYPEN. So they're all class of 2025. So congratulations. Um, on the way there, he was asking questions and was asking why they were in LA now, etc. He seemed finally interested. Daughter and I were flabbergasted. Okay, so those are my updates. Do you want to talk? Do we have enough time? Maybe I can pull this through for the BTS concert. Supposedly, this is the longest. I have 49 slides. I don't know how I'm going to finish this. Okay, so these are just some things that I learned the last week as I was talking with some people in the industry that will provide us a clue on what's going to happen next. Nothing confidential. I'm not going to reveal anything confidential. And also, I gave them my word. If they say, if they talk to me and they say, okay, I'm going to tell you something, but this is off the record, then I keep my word. So everything that I'm saying, this is not confidential. Okay, but it's just going to provide us some clue on what's happening as they prepare for their world tour. Okay, I think I'm buffering again. I'm just going to wait until the buffer ends so that I don't look like a robot. But also, my slides won't actually turn when I'm buffering, so I'm waiting for it. Love her. Donita said that that's an amazing sign. A family that arms together will always have fun. Going to my final step tomorrow for eval for placement on the kidney transplant list. So a little nervous but not worried. Wow, congratulations that you get it. I'm sure that you will get it. Claim it already. Claim it. Will get it. You'll get it. Start thanking whatever your faith is. Start thanking that because you're going to get it. Okay. BTS tour. Wait. Okay. All right. So apparently, stadiums, arenas usually get booked at least 10 months in advance. 10 months in advance, and then stadiums get booked at least. Sorry, has to be longer than 10 months. Usually 18 months. So anywhere between 2 years to 18 months. So if BTS is doing their tour in the summer of next year, that means that the tour is already at least the major stops, that's already planned out. So tours in the scale of Taylor Swift, Beyonce, and BTS would probably be 18 months in advance. It has to be 18 months in advance so that they can sync the dates, meaning they will be able to plot it well. So it has to be at least 18 months, usually 2 years, maybe even 3 years in advance when it is a big scale stadium tour. So that means by now, BTS already kind of know the stops that they're going to have, the big stadiums that they're going to be performing in. They already know that. Now, if they're planning something different, meaning it's not your usual SoFi or Wembley, they're planning something really entirely different, then that takes even longer planning. That means even before BTS entered the military, they have some sort of an idea on the different things that they want to try for their tour, the upcoming tour in 2026. So that's most likely already planned out. Now, they may add at this stage what the industry is saying is that at this stage, it's a matter of adding dates. They can't take out the dates anymore that they already have because it's done. Like those the down payments have been made. At this stage, down payments have been made. Um, so it's a matter of adding dates as opposed to taking out dates. Okay. So now at this stage, because it's like less than a year away, probably BTS tour probably has the major stops locked. And at this stage, it will be a matter of adding dates. And as I've said, if they're trying to do something different, then the preparation would have been longer. Okay. Now, um, because so the primary reason is to make sure that it's perfectly synced, like the schedule will work, right? Because you can't have like, oh my god, Wembley's not available here at this stage, so maybe we should go to this place first and then go back so we can do when you don't want that. So the only way you can perfectly plan it out is if you do that way in advance. Now, the other reason they do it very, very early is so that the promoter of the show would be able to get the money to front the show. So we don't know if this is going to be Live Nation, AEG, or maybe HYBE is going to do it because they did buy Comparison 360, which is a promoter themselves, although it is a smaller one because they usually do VIP promotions. So they need to know this early, especially if they are buying the tour, because there are expenses involved. So what does it mean to buy a tour? For example, if it is Live Nation, if they do Live Nation promote, if Live Nation ends up promoting it, what does it mean? That means that Live Nation pays the artist or the management upfront or guarantees a sum for the right to produce, promote, and profit from the tour. So, for example, BTS says or HYBE or Big Hit says, okay, Live Nation, you're going to be the promoter, but we need to pay the artist in advance. Let's just say 30 million. We need 30 million. So, and we need it at this date so that we can lock in the concert so that you'll become the promoter. Of course, Live Nation will have to look for that fund. Where am I going to get that fund, right? So they're going to get some promoters, some sponsors, and of course, through advanced ticketing. Okay. So it is often, they call it the 360 live deal, meaning whatever earnings that tour is going to generate, Live Nation will get a cut out of that. Okay. So it could be merchandise, if they get sponsors, all of those earnings, Live Nation will earn from it. So the financial implications is that if, for example, Live Nation, AEG, or whoever ends up promoting the tour, then that company will have to give the artist an upfront fee. So artists sometimes get paid a fixed fee, for example, 35 million for this entire tour. Or they could say, okay, we'll get a lower upfront fee, just 10 million. These are just numbers that I'm throwing around. 10 million, but we also get 30% of the ticket sales. It could be that, or it could just be a share of the ticket sales. So it depends on the kind of deal that they have. But this is BTS we're talking about. So they're probably going to get a fixed fee and also a cut from the tickets and all the other earnings. Okay, now, if something happens, it underperforms, it doesn't get sold out, then the risk is on Live Nation. They will take the hit, but they will take the rewards. So if they will profit from ticket sales, VIP packages, sponsors, merch cuts, food and beverage, which is a huge source of money. By the way, I don't know if you know this, but drinks bring in so much money during concerts. And of course, they invest in production, stage lighting, logistics, travel, insurance, security, all of those things. And of course, as I've said, they could get some sponsors to earn more. So, for example, for Era's tour for Taylor Swift, she got a lot of sponsors. All right, but we'll talk about that in a bit. Now, for artists, they receive what is BTS now doing? They will get a guaranteed fee. At this stage, I don't know if they already have the check, but at least BTS will know at a certain date we're gonna get our down payment even before starting the tour. They're already going to get their down payment. If you remember, they discussed this with Justin Bieber because Justin Timber, sorry, not Timberlake. Justin Bieber actually got an advance for his tour, that the one that got canceled. So it's the same thing for BTS. They're going to get an advance even before the tour starts. Now, they also will get a back end bonus, or most likely a share of all the other earnings. This is BTS, so they'll probably the deal that they're going to cut. Now, they will also just focus on the music. So they do need to release an album. They will release that album. They will practice their performances. That is all dependent on the artist and their production company. Now, most likely, if it is Live Nation or AEG or whoever, most of the time, HYBE or Big Hit or BTS will cede the ticket pricing, venue selection, and marketing strategy to Live Nation most of the time. Most of the time. Now, for artists like Beyonce, Taylor Swift, and most likely BTS, they will have a say on it. But traditionally, the artist lets go of that. Now, what's required to finalize the deal for them to sign the dotted line? The artist team is the one that gives the proposal. So it is them that will give their demands. This is what we want. This is how much we want to get. These are the venues we're targeting, and this is how much we think we can pull, the number of audience that we can pull. And then that's when they will do the ask, how much they want to get paid. And then the negotiations will start. Live Nation evaluates the risk versus the reward, but it's BTS, there's no risk. So, and then they will now negotiate how much are we going to guarantee, and then how much are we going to split with you. And then ticketing terms, so BTS can say, or Big Hit can say, okay, we don't want the mods thing to happen again. If you are not familiar for Map of the Soul, when that ticketing happened, sorry, the permission to dance in LA, when that thing happened, um, even the fans, even those that are armies, members of Weavers, didn't get a chance to buy the tickets because Live Nation, SoFi released all the tickets to members of SoFi, because you have members of SoFi, right? Those are that are attending the concert. They bought everything. They bought everything. So nothing was released for even for pre-sale for the members. So now Hybe actually avoided that from happening in PTD Las Vegas. So one of the conditions that they set forth is that no, you cannot do that again. You're gonna have to release the tickets for the pre-sale membership for members of Weavers. Okay. Now they also will set the conditions for merch. Because this is BTS, merch is very, very different. It's not like your usual, here's your shirt, here's your whatever. They release a lot of merch for the tour. So this is going to be entirely different. And then they're going to agree on the kind of promotions that they're going to be doing. Once the contract is signed, fee structure is agreed on. There's going to be a division of labor, what it is that Live Nation is going to do, what will Hybe. I'm just using Live Nation as an example. We don't know if it's going to be Live Nation. And then if there is any kind of cancellation clauses. Now, we one of the things that we've learned about this entire tour of Justin is force majeure, right? So force majeure is any kind of event that is out of the control of the artist that might happen that might force the artist to cancel the tour. So that actually changed the structure of insurances, because now artists wants the guarantee, or the promoters actually wants the guarantee that either force majeure or whatever just the artist doesn't want to push through with the concert. We want to make sure that we get paid for that. In the same way, the artist also wants to make sure that if anything happens and I simply cannot perform, I will not give you the money back. So they're restructuring the insurances because of what happened to Justin. Now, okay, so that we already know that. Now, okay, so some artists are independent or signed to licensing deals, and they keep all of their tour income. There are artists like that, artists that are big enough. They actually keep all of their tour income, and the promoter gets a cut. So they get more money than others. So imagine what kind of artist BTS is. All right. Now, for the benefit, the Live Nation or whoever is going to end up being the promoter, Um, they also enjoy a lot of advantages. They, because they secure a lot of venues, they get it for a much lower price. Because they work with a lot of people regularly, then they get the services for a much lower fee. If BTS or HYBE or Big Hit takes that on, they become their own promoter, then they're going to have to do the negotiations on their own. Okay. All right. So for Taylor Swift, one of the biggest sponsors that she had was actually Capital One. Okay. Capital One and Marriott Bonvoy, which is a hotel. So allegedly, so this is a different kind of deal because she actually did a commercial for Capital One. So the deal for Capital One members, if you get or if you have a credit card, you get to buy the ticket. There is an advance selling for you. So allegedly, um, so this is a different kind of partnership, right? But allegedly, they paid her $8 million for the deal. Now there is some debate as to whether or not she pocketed 8 million, meaning that's the net to her, or the deal altogether is 8 million. We don't know, but that's the number that has been floating. My guess is that went to her, but I could be wrong. In return, though, Capital One actually refused to say how effective the campaign is, meaning they didn't want to say how many membership they actually got based off this promotion. But we know that on their financial report, the amount of people that has Capital One credit card increased by 17%. And they practically didn't do any other new marketing deal. So it could only be from Taylor Swift's tour. Marriott Bonvoy was also a sponsor. They didn't disclose how much they paid her or her tour, but they did have special deals for Swifties that would check in and use their hotel for the concert. Uh, Beyonce also had a lot of sponsors. So she had Tiffany's, she had Lexus as a sponsor, Verizon, Citi, ET. All of these people actually paid her to become a sponsor. So now, at this stage, because it's a huge tour, most likely BTS already has many of the sponsors already locked. And I wouldn't be surprised if they do something like what Taylor Swift did. Like they will have one major sponsor per area or per region. For example, one major sponsor in the US and one major sponsor in Europe or something like that. But it is additional earnings from them. So if, for example, this is just an example, if Capital One says, okay, we're gonna pay 10 million, then because HYBE actually gets a certain amount, or Big Hit gets a certain amount, Live Nation is going to get a certain amount. Let's just say clean BTS is going to get 60%, 50%, then they split it between the seven of them. Okay, so that's most likely going to happen. There will be sponsors. Now, yeah, so as I've said, it will most likely be per region. Now, as I've mentioned, this guy that I'm going to be interviewing on Friday live on camera, I'm going to live stream that. He was actually part of the team that was putting together the special experience for armies for their MOTS tour, the one that was canceled. So it will most likely be the same. BTS is probably going to have a special experience for armies for an extra fee. And it makes sense because they did buy Confirmed 360. And Confirmed 360 is an events company, but they put together VIP experiences for different events. So, for example, one of their famous projects or famous VIP experience is the one in Super Bowl. So they actually sold a special experience worth 1.8 million. So here, Super Bowl VIP suites was worth anywhere between 750,000 to 1.8 million. And that involved food, unlimited food, drinks. You get shuttled in and out of the venue. You don't go through traffic. Sometimes you get to meet the artists, but it's 1.8 million. That's the kind of experience that Comparison 360 actually offers. So let's just say Comparison 360 sells 10 suites worth 1.8 million each. That's 10.8 million or something. No, more, sorry. So let's just say 1 million yeah, 180 million. It's 180 million, right? So that then BTS is going to get a cut out of that. Another thing that Comparison 360 actually does is festival and Broadway packages. So Coachella, for example, the stage coach and the VIP experience, they provide that. They also have concert and celebrity experiences, front row access, backstage passes, all of that they provide for an exorbitant fee, the amount we won't be able to afford. So, what it implies about the upcoming tour of BTS, there will most likely be special fan experiences for BTS Army. 18 million. So, I was right the first time. 18 million if they do 10 suites worth 1.8 million. There will also be VIP experiences we won't be able to afford for their life, for our life, even if we sell our limbs. Okay, so yeah, so the Taylor Swift era, it was primarily sponsored by Capital One. She got paid 8 million, and now at this stage, I think BTS, only thing BTS has to worry about will be the album that they're going to release because they need that to support the tour, and they need to do the rehearsals, conceptualizations, and once everything is done, then they will get their writer. They will get their writer together, the writer list. So in the writer list that has all of their requirements, technical requirements, the kind of stage that they want, and the promoter will just make it happen for them. So um, I managed ticks for SoFi and Vegas, didn't even get pre-sale code for Sugar. Aww. I really don't like that people get to meet them for a million, but such is life. Such is life. Such is life. And also, to a certain degree, I also am trying to think about it from their perspective. I mean, the reason it's so hard for them to earn, let's say, just for them to earn 100 million in a tour, because there's seven of them. Imagine the amount of stops that they're gonna have to do to make that happen, right? And they deserve to get money. They really deserve to get a bunch of money because they're good at what they do. They give their best. They don't short sell us. And if this is one way for them to get to that, 100 million each, I'm okay with that. I don't feel good that I can't afford it. But I certainly took it, will not ever take it against them if they do that. Now, I'm not saying that will happen. I'm just saying that this is part of the things that the Comparison 360 actually arranges. This is one of the things that they do, their VIP experience. They actually put together all of these experiences for a much higher price. So if you're willing to pay, then you get to take a picture with BTS or whoever the artist is. You get to sit in a suite, have as many food as you want, as many drinks as you want, but BTS, if there's any artist that deserves to earn as much, it would be BTS for me. So I'm okay. If that means they get to pocket 100 million, 50 million each for this tour, go for it. Go for it. Okay, do you have questions before we go? I think BTS don't feel good that you can't afford it either. I think BTS though, what if you don't they're in the business to make money. BTS brings in bucket loads of money, correct? It's going to be a 2 year long tour, so like Coldplay. What if you don't have your organs to sell because you've already got somebody else's? Nowadays I'm just happy I can afford an album. Um, the average army cannot afford $1 million. True. Tonight's stream was excellent. Thank you. Oh, thank you. John Cena might will sign me up. Thank you, Angel Star. Thank you. I appreciate it. Um, and my dog also appreciate it. He appreciates it. Thank you so much. Is HYBE's YouTube channel shadow banned? That is what it seems to be. In fact, as a creator myself, if I hashtag BTS, I get less views. Strange, right? Most of the views that I get from my BTS videos are actually coming from existing subscribers. I rarely get views from recommendations. So it seems that way, yes. I can't confirm, but that's how what I am observing. Usually the views that I'm getting from my BTS videos are coming from existing subscribers. Okay, so before I say goodbye, I'm going to show you my dog. Come on, come on. This is my goodbye to you all. I might, as I've said, I might go on live so that I'm just going to be watching some content. Okay, here he is. Okay, baby, say hi, say bye, everybody. I appreciate you. You say thank you to Angel Star. She gave you some money to contribute to your airfare. Say thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Your paws are dirty. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, baby. Thank you. Bye, everybody.